Starseed Ascension welcomes guests from a variety of backgrounds to gain perspectives, experiences, and information in the paranormal, spiritual, and ET space. We are a community of spiritual explorers who seek to help raise consciousness. And now, here's your host of Starseed Ascension, Jamie Voss Love.
Good evening and welcome back to Starseed Ascension. I am your host, Jamie Voss Love, and we are live tonight from Los Angeles and Beverly Hills. And tonight we have another very special guest, my good friend, amazing friend who loves ETs, UFOs, and the paranormal just as much as I do. So let me tell you a little bit about our special guest tonight. So, born and raised just outside of Asbury Park, New Jersey, Dan Harary is a man with many talents. While best known for his work 40 plus years in Hollywood as an entertainment publicist and owner of the boutique Asbury PR Agency in Beverly Hills, Dan is the author of Flirting with Fame, which is a Hollywood publicist recalls 50 years of celebrity close encounters. I love that. And After They Came, which is another good one, by the way. And that one quickly gained recognition in the UFO community and led to dozens of interviews around the world. And that had endorsements from top experts such as Nick Pope, Travis Walton, George Noory, Dr. Lynn Kitei, Earl Grey Anderson, and that's just to name a few. And so Dan had his own UFO experiences. He may talk about those tonight. We'll see, which influenced his book. And this interest led to the birth of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, which is really amazing. He serves as chairman for that with over 200 global members, bringing together top UFO and ET experts and Hollywood filmmakers. And that helps to ensure the accuracy in the storytelling. So he is also, he's a busy man. He is also the host of the podcast Live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. And speaking of paranormal, he just released a new book, which I'm really excited about, and we're going to talk about that tonight. My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. So I get to interview him first. I'm so excited about that. Please welcome Dan Harary.
Hey there. How are you, my little friend?
Very, very good. It's so good to see you again.
It's great to see you. Your hair looks really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, what's going on with your hair?
I clean up sometimes.
You clean up good. I think it's like longer and thicker than last time I saw you, maybe?
It's grown out since probably last time we saw
I
each
saw
other.
you at the March
The first in the flesh.
Right. Saw you at the event. Well, thank you for having me. Congratulations on your show. When I heard that you have a show on this network, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I know her. I know that girl. I know her. We're pretty good friends. Thank you very much. Thank you for the intro. You know, I have my own show, so I do what you just did every week as well. It's kind of fun now for me to be on this side of the fence again. But my new book came out Monday, and you are literally the first person on the planet Earth who's going to ask me about it. So I'm all yours, Jamie. Whatever you want me to do, whatever you want me to ask me anything, I'll tell you the truth.
I can't wait. And Dan, I feel like we have to do your Dan Harary rhymes with Ferrari.
Dan Harary rhymes with Ferrari. That's how, here's my new joke. I say, that's how people remember it. And then I say, that's how I remember
it. Very good. Very good. So Dan, what is up with your paranormal life?
So you want to talk right about the new book right off the cuff, right?
Right off the cuff.
Okay. All right. So I don't even have a copy yet. I literally don't even have, but this is the cover, which I just printed just for my little friend Jamie. If you see it.
Perfect.
I suck at this so much, but it's my paranormal life, supernatural stories from I have to remember from a Hollywood Insider. I wrote this. I wrote this during the last 2 years. I'd say during the last 2 years. This is my book about sort of everything paranormal that, ghosts, poltergeist, angelic voices, manifestations of people and events, remarkable dreams, things that I thought of that came true. I just sat down because I was bored. I wrote this during the tail end of COVID, Jamie, I think, and I just was thinking, I've written 3 books. I have Flirting with Fame, and After They Came, and a dopey book that no one on the planet read about sex, and we're not going to talk about that one.
That one's always hiding out.
And 10 people on Earth bought it. And I think I bought 8 of the 10 copies. No one bought that. That's okay. So this is what I wrote during COVID, tail end, and I'm like, I've had 3 UFO experiences, which I've been talking about around the world the last year and a half because of my After They Came book.
Yeah.
I've also had other paranormal, supernatural, weird, bizarre, hard to explain events in my life. And when I get bored, I don't sit and do nothing. I sit at a table and go, okay, I guess I need to write another book. It's time for another book, Dan. So I just wrote it, spit it out. It took me about 18 months to write this one. And it's a hodgepodge of off-the-wall bizarre things. If you'd like, I could do the very first story first, which I think is kind of a cool one if you want.
I would love to. I have so many questions, and I know the first story in your book tells a tale of a gargoyle saving your life at 5. Yes, please please share that story.
I know. And my mother thinks, you dreamed that, Danny. You dreamed that. It never happened.
Oh,
it never. All right.
You have to outgrow the skeptics.
Well, actually, Jamie, it's funny.
But it's your mom, so that makes it tough.
My daughter was looking at the book online. The dedication of this book says, dedication to my mother, Joan, who believes not one of the stories in this book. My mother's still alive. God bless her. She'll be 90. She believes anytime I tell my mother supernatural, paranormal, aliens, UFO, she thinks I'm absolutely a nut job.
So you give her a great Mother's Day gift.
Actually, yeah, I said it to her. She'll get it tomorrow in the mail from Amazon before me. I don't even have a copy. I literally don't even have a copy of my book. I don't have one copy.
It just came out yesterday, yeah.
It just came out. So I grew up just outside Asbury Park, New Jersey. And Asbury's famous because Bruce Springsteen started there. And I knew him when I was in high school. And that's Flirting with Fame. And you have to read that book to talk about Bruce Springsteen. My father worked for the Army at a military base right next to Asbury Park. It was called Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. So my parents were from Brooklyn. They met, got married, fell in love. Brooklyn, moved to Asbury Park, which is wonderful. When I was a little kid, Asbury Park was a wonderful place to be a kid. They had the boardwalk and the rides, the amusement parks and the skee ball and movie theaters. And Mr. Peanut used to walk around and hand little kids free, fresh, hot peanuts. I have home movies of me as, I'm 4, riding like a little fire engine or dinging the bell on Asbury Park boardwalk. So where I grew up was a wonderful place. And my dad worked for the Fort Monmouth Army base as a civilian engineer. My mother was a school teacher in those days. Okay, so when I was 5 in 1961, which I still can't even believe I was ever that. I lived in 1961, but I was 5. We lived in a house in Neptune, New Jersey, right next to Asbury Park. And I guess my mom was home. My dad would have been at work. I'm the oldest of 3, so my 2 brothers were not yet born. And I'm 5, and I had 2 little girlfriends who lived right across the street from our house, and Kathy and Lizzie, I remember. And I would love to track them down. I cannot find them on the internet. I'd love to find them, but Kathy and Lizzie. So they were older than me. We used to climb. They'd come to my house, get me, and the three of us little kids would climb trees and we'd climb fences and we'd climb things. That's what we did. We climbed. So one day, Lizzie said, let's go climb the drugstore sign. Now, around the corner, a block from my house around the corner was I think it was a 3-story tall billboard sign for the local drugstore that was around the corner from my house. Big wooden sign. Now, behind the billboard, public-facing part of the sign is a wooden lattice, like a wooden skeleton, a wooden lattice. Me, Kathy, Lizzie, we climbed up inside this wooden lattice. And honest to God, I remember it so clearly. I really do. I remember we were climbing inside. I'm going to say had to be 3 stories tall. So it had to be 30 feet tall. And we're climbing up inside this sign. And we were having the greatest time. It was super fun. Okay. Now, as I'm climbing, Jamie, my hand slipped. I fell off. I lost the grip of one of the wooden beams. And I fell from near the top of the sign. So I'm going to say 20, 25 feet. I'm going to guess. Okay. 20, 25, somewhere in there. I don't think it was the very top. I fell up. So I'm backwards. So I'm on my back. I'm facing straight up. I'm looking at the sky. I'm plummeting to earth. I'm 5. And I see these 2 little girls, my friends, like, right? They're like, oh my God. So I fell to earth. I plummeted to earth. Okay.
Wow.
The next thing that I remember was, I have no idea how much time elapsed, but I woke up a block away on a couch inside someone's home in their living room. It was not my parents' home. It was not my little girlfriend's parents' home. It was a stranger's home that I had never been in my life. I woke up 5 years sitting on the couch. I go, hello, is anyone here? No one was there. No one was in the house. And I'm like, what? Where am I? Like, what? I remember, man. Where am I? What just happened? How did I get here? Okay. So now I know I got to go find mommy. I got to go back to mommy's house. I get off the couch. I turn to my right at the front door. A thing, a creature, a thing of some kind. I'm going to say the following. I'm going to say it was maybe 7 feet tall. A creature that was part man, part not man. He was the color of white chocolate. So like off-white color.
Okay.
His back, Jamie, it was like he had wings. I could see it when I'm telling you. It's like he had wings that had been chopped off. Like the wings had been chopped off. So they were like bony stubs here where wings would have been. Okay. And he had like a bull's face. So I'm up, I'm turned, and this creature was about to walk out the front door. He turned, he looked at me and went like that. He went, like he snorted at me as if to say, yeah, I saved your life, you little bastard. I didn't want to, but I had no choice. And then he vanished through the door. I don't remember if he walked through the door, if he just vanished, but he vanished. And I'm like, okay. That's it. That's the whole story. Now, I have remembered that my entire life, but I never wrote it down until recently. And I told my daughter last year, and she goes, Dad, it sounds like a gargoyle. If you look up gargoyle, Jamie, a gargoyle is a mythological creature that protects buildings and people within certain parameters, certain area parameters. So I think
you helped him get his wings back?
Maybe. I think my gargoyle, I think the gargoyle was protecting the billboard sign or my neighborhood, quite frankly. And there's no way to prove it, but I truly believe. I know I had to have fallen to the ground when I fell. Did I die? I have no idea. Did I knock out my wind? Probably. This creature, whatever this thing was, picked me up, man, and walked me to this strange house, put me on the couch, waited for me to revive, And he snorted like F you, Danny, you little bastard. And then he wasn't happy with me. I remember he wasn't pleased, and he left. And I've remembered the story my whole life. So my daughter thought it was a gargoyle. I think it's a gargoyle. And my mother goes, "You dreamed the whole thing, Danny. It never happened." That's my first story in my new book.
But you remember it. You experienced it. I love it.
I do. I remember it. I don't think when you're 5, something that profound that happens to you, I don't think you make that up,
No, I don't think so at all, for sure. So I love it 100%. I'm like, you're helping him, be the guardian and get his wings and all of that. Dan, I mean, that doesn't sound crazy to me. I want you to know I'm not on your mom's side of the.
My mom, unless my mom can see it, taste it, or touch it, or smell it, or hold it in her hands, there's no alien. It's enough. There's no aliens, Danny. There's no aliens. So
I'm sending her love. Well, speaking of though, you mentioned aliens and gargoyles. You also have had experiences with ghosts and poltergeists. So what about those?
Yes, I have.
Anything you feel called to share?
Sure, I would love to. And I've hinted at some of these stories with other people in the last 2 years, but you'll be the first to get the linear version. Right. I was very close with my father. He passed away in April 2017. And I loved him very much. I have 2 younger brothers, and the 3 of us, when he died, we were really quite devastated. He died in Florida with his second wife. So he died in April 2017 in Florida. I hadn't seen him in about 5 months. I saw him for his last birthday. I said goodbye to him. He didn't know who I was. He had really bad Alzheimer's at the end. So the first story is when I went to a deli and to mourn my father and get a sandwich, and my father gave me, after they came, the book as a digital download from heaven, and that's a whole nother story, and I've told that story countless times. But the same week my father died, he died on a Monday morning. That Friday, I had to go up to Silicon Valley. I had a client there that was doing a computer graphics event, and I was the publicist. I'm a Hollywood publicist. So I went to this event, and everyone knew my dad died, and people were hugging, and Dan, I'm so sorry, so sorry. I go, yeah, thanks. So that night, Friday night, my dad died Monday morning. That Friday night, I'm in a hotel in Silicon Valley, middle of the night, 3 a.m, I'm fast asleep. And Jamie, this is everything I tell you, honestly, is going to be real. I'm fast asleep. From underneath my bed, my mattress started to vibrate, and I heard from under my bed, "Danny, Jeannie changed my will." And I sat up in bed and I looked around. I said, "Dad?" My dad was dead for 4 days, right? "Dad?" I looked under the bed. I thought my dad's ghost was in the room or under the bed. "Danny," it was this loud. "Danny, Jeannie changed my will." Okay, now, only my father called his second wife Jeannie. Her name was Jean. He was the only person on earth who called her Jeannie. I heard this after he died. I called my brothers. I said, "You're not going to believe this story. Dad spoke to me from heaven." We hired a lawyer, Jamie, lawyer in Florida. He checked in with her, my dad's second wife, and she changed his will and his insurance policies while he had Alzheimer's. She had taken his hand. I saw the documents after he died. She took his hand and made him, sign his name. So it's his name, but it's all squiggly and shaky, like he was shaking really. And that's it's true. She changed those documents. We didn't know till after he died. So my father told me from heaven that had happened.
Wild. There is no way you could have known that.
Not in 1 million years would I have known that. Not in one. There's no way I could have known that.
Yeah, so, that's evidential mediumship right there.
Jamie, it's like how you and I are talking right now.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke to me from under the bed, from under the mattress. The mattress vibrated. That's how strong of a signal. Think of, right?
Yeah.
My mattress, I thought it was an earthquake for a second. I'm like, oh shit, it's an earthquake. Okay, so the next week after my father died, I'm back home in my place here in Beverly Hills. I'm asleep 3 a.m. Week after he died, middle of the night, I have a touch lamp in my bedroom on my dresser. It only goes on and off if someone touches the lamp. Okay, 3 a.m, my lamp starts going on and off. I've had the lamp for years. I'm like, well, that's my father. I mean, who else? I said, Dad?
Paying you a visit?
It went like on and off a couple of times. Dad? And then it stopped. I'm like, my heart's, from a dead sleep. My heart's racing. I'm like, my dad's here. Clearly. A week later, I'm asleep in my room. I have a little drum set. You could see it way back there. A tiny little blue drum set. I'm a drummer. My dad gave me that little toy drum set before he died.
Wow.
2 weeks after he died, middle of the night, 3 a.m, sound asleep in my room. Those drums and cymbals started to play. I'm hearing like clink, 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 like fingers are going clink, 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 with the little cymbals, clink, clink. I sat up again. My heart's racing. I'm shaking. I go, Dad, is that you? And I'm shaking. And I feel there's like electricity in the air. And then I said, and I hate that I said this, JB. I said, Dad, if that's you, please stop. You're scaring the shit out of me. I go, Dad, please. You're scaring the shit out of me. I actually said that to him. And I wish I hadn't. I really wish I hadn't. But I said that. And then the drums stopped playing. That was the last time he came to me in my room. Then, Jamie, he started to come to me in my dreams. And there were several, but the most, I think, remarkable one of my dreams, this is now 3 weeks after he's dead. I'm dreaming that I'm sitting in a dark black room at a chair with a table, my father sitting across from me as a young man. My father died at 86. In the dream, he's 40, probably healthy, suntan, a black mustache. My father never had a mustache in his life, ever. In heaven, my father has a mustache, dark black, looks super handsome, like a movie star. And my middle brother, Bob, is at the end of the table in this dream. Me, my father, my brother, Bob. So in the dream, it just starts, and I go, Dad? And he goes, yes. I go, Dad, how are you here? You're dead. And my father in the dream says, yeah, I know, but I really wish I wasn't. And then I look to my brother, Bob, on the end of the table. I go, Bob, we're talking to our dead father in a dream. And my brother, Bob, said, duh, don't you think I know that? That was the dream. Is that crazy?
Wow. I love it. No, I mean, it's not crazy to me.
You must hear this. I mean, listen, in my universe, this is Adam's Family time. I'm sure you hear crazier stuff than this. But my dad has come many times, many in dreams.
Wow.
But when he said, yeah, I know I'm dead, but I really but I really wish I wasn't. That would have been my father. That's what he would have said in real life. So.
Yeah. So you wanted to say, like, if it's you, give me a sign, right? But you're like, you're scaring the shit out of me. Go away.
Yeah, Jamie, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Most people with Grandma, I love you so much. Please give me a sign. My father was throwing things at me, like sign after sign. He was throwing lamps, and my genie changed my.
Sure.
And I was like, Dad, it's enough already. You're scaring me. Please, I need a good night's sleep. You leave me alone, Dad, already, for God's sake. I so regret that I scared him off. I really wish I hadn't.
Well, they have to honor the boundaries.
Yeah. Listen, it's 25 after, and I did this for my show, but I think you need to take a break.
Yes. We're going to take a quick little break here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
The UNX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Kathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unnext Network website at unnextnetwork.com. That's unnextnetwork.com.
This is Margie Kay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us #1 on Paranormal Talk Radio.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from Unx Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
Welcome back to Starseed Ascension. We are here with special guest tonight, Dan Harary, talking about his new book, My Paranormal Life. And yeah,
it is. the make-believe cover. I don't
Who
even
did
have
the artwork on that? It's fantastic.
It's a friend of mine named Kurt Doty. Yeah, isn't it great?
Yeah, I love it.
UFO, right? Here's my gargoyle. my little story that I told you. That's me, my bald bastard me. And then angels, we'll get to sort of angelic things that I've had my whole life. And then there's my father's ghost. So it's kind of a hush-posh.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's a fun cover.
So Dan, yes, I definitely want to get to the angelics as well. Before we do, so I feel like this kind of like runs together with also After They Came, but wanted to ask you about your UFO experiences and sightings.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Can I tell you my poltergeist story first?
Oh, 100%.
because, and actually during the break, I was thinking, some people might say that my father's visits were a poltergeist. My father was just a ghost. My grandfather was a poltergeist in my house.
Well, let's talk about how you define those two terms.
Yeah. Well, my dad, like I said, he spoke to me. He said a sentence to me. He turned that lamp, turned the lamp on and off. He played with my little drums. Okay. Poltergeist-esque, right? Poltergeist-ish. Not real hardcore. The following story is a poltergeist. I'll do it very quickly. In 2003, I was involved with a woman. She worked on the TV show The Sopranos, and we moved in together a block from where I live now, up the street on Doheny Drive in Beverly Hills. We moved into a beautiful old Beverly Hills apartment, 3-bedroom, gorgeous place. We moved in together. When she moved in first, when she was moving in, I wasn't there. The movers were moving her stuff in, and then they were outside at the truck. She was inside this new apartment, totally by herself, standing in the kitchen. She heard, "Joe," and she turned around. No one was in the house. The movers were out by the truck on the street. Okay, so Joe, keep that in mind, Joe. Okay, then I moved in. We lived there together. The first week we're watching TV. One night we're watching TV. We had a bag of kitchen utensils in the dining room. We hadn't put things away yet. We're watching, I think it was American Idol or some Toby show. And some of the things from this package in the dining room leapt out. There was you know what a dish drainer is? That the rubber thing with the slots, dish drainer, and the little thing for the utensil. There was this big thing in a bag. It had been there for days. It jumped out of the bag and flopped around on the dining room floor. So I look at it. What the hell did that? I mean, what the hell did that? There wasn't an earthquake. And if there was, the whole bag it was a paper bag. It would have fallen up. So this thing popped out. Okay, that's fine. Week later, now this is a great story. I love this one.
That's fine.
We had a beautiful fireplace in this apartment. Beautiful fireplace. I bought a package, those long package of fireplace matches, the real long, like a round tube, right? Two things on the cylinders. So like a putz. Jamie, I opened one end of this long cylinder and I grabbed 50 long matches, 50 at a time, grabbed them and I pulled them out so fast from this canister. They all went up in flames. All of them. So I am in my living room in Beverly Hills with a torch. There's a torch in my hand and I'm like this. And there's a like a nuclear explosion, like an A-bomb is like in front. I'm like this. I'm like, oh my God, it's on fire. My hand is almost on fire. Okay, I swear to God, as I'm standing there like this, frozen. Look to the side from the dining room into the living room. There was a bluish white mist. It was almost like Casper the Friendly Ghost. It was a bluish white, and it was flying through the air really fast from the dining room into the living room. Jamie, and I hope people believe me because I'm not a BS artist. I'm really not. But this thing came through the air. It grabbed this torch of matches out of my hands and threw it into the fireplace. Okay? Because I was like I'm about to catch fire. I was paralyzed. This thing saved my head from becoming Johnny Flame from the X-Men or whatever that movie is, the Marvels. He took it. This ghost took it out of my hand and threw it into the fireplace. Saved me. Okay, very cool. Okay. A week later, my girlfriend and I were sleeping, middle of the night. Crash. Go in the master bathroom. Someone or something had taken a very tall water drinking glass and smashed the hell out of it, a million pieces on the floor. And now she had a cat, and I'm like, was that your cat? She goes, no, the cat's under the bed. Okay, some angry thing took a glass and smashed it really hard on the floor. Okay. The next weekend, my kids used to come visit. I'm divorced. My kids used to visit me on the weekends. At the time, my son was 12 and my daughter would have been 10. They're in their little rooms. I'm in with my girlfriend and the master. Middle of the night, my son's in his room. Dad, there's something in my room. Middle of the night. I jump. If you're a parent, You hear your kids complaining, so there's something in your room. You're not going to horse around. You're going to fly
Sure.
the Superman. I flew out of dead sleep. I flew out of the bed, ran into my son's room. He goes, Dad, there's something in my room. And he stood up, he turned on the light, and he said it was knocking on the walls like this, knock, 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 knock. He said, Dad, it even knocked on the glass of my TV screen. He heard it, knock, 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 all the way 360 around his room. Something was knocking on the walls.
Wow.
I said, Jordan, oh my God. I said, that's crazy. So I said, look, let's go back to sleep. We'll leave your door open. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we went back to sleep. The next morning, me, my daughter, my girlfriend were making breakfast in the kitchen. My son, we hear a door slam really loud. Dad, something just slammed my door. Run down the hall. My son's in his bed. Something had slammed his door closed. There was no wind. There was no wind. Something slammed his door. I'm like, this is crazy. Enough already. I happen to have a Ouija board. Now, you probably have done this. And my advice is be careful when you do a Ouija board.
Did you do the Ouija board before or after this experience?
Right after the door slammed, I said to my girlfriend and my children, I said, this is enough. There's something insane is happening. I got the Ouija board out of the closet. We put it on the hallway floor. Me, my girlfriend, my daughter, my son, the four of us. We had I think it's called a pinch-on. Pinch-on, I think, is the pointer thing.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Let's see if we can figure out what the hell this thing is. So the four of us held this, the plastic pointer thing. I forget the name of it. And I said, is there a ghost in this house? Yes, right away. Yes. I said, what's your name? What's your name? It wrote Joseph. Joseph. Okay.
Joe, is that you?
Okay,
Yes.
right. Jamie, it gets better. It gets better. The next question, Jamie, was, where are you from? Ready for this? It wrote Syria. My grandfather, Joe, was from Syria. Okay. The other three people in that room did not know that. Only I knew that. Syria. I said, are you my grandpa, Joe? Yes. Yes. Then I go, why are you here? It wrote Jordan, my son's name. It wrote Jordan. And I said, what do you want with Jordan? And it wrote to teach, to teach. Then I said, what do you want to teach Jordan? And it wrote a sentence, Jamie, in Hebrew. It wrote it in Hebrew. Now, I haven't known Hebrew since I'm a little boy. I called my dentist. My dentist was an Orthodox Jewish dentist at the time. I called him and I read it to him. He said, Dan, that sentence means, I am a stranger here. So the ghost, my grandpa Joe ghost, wrote in Hebrew, because he was prolific in Hebrew, I am a stranger here. Then I said, Grandpa, I'm crying because I loved him very much. He died when I was 11. I said, Grandpa Joe, I love you very much. And I said, please leave. You're scaring the shit out of my family. I said, please, you got to go. Please leave. And then the thing stopped moving. And then I said, Grandpa Joe, are you still here? And it never moved. It never moved again. And that was it. The activity had ceased forever. Now,
Wow.
my dad was still alive at the time. And I said, Dad, I have a crazy story. And they told him. And my father said, very practical engineer. He goes, well, Danny, if I believed in ghosts, I'd say you had a ghost. But I don't believe, so I don't think you had a ghost. I mean, I go, Dad, it was your father. It was your father. Your father came to visit me. Well, I don't believe in ghosts. That's my poltergeist.
Wow.
That's my poltergeist story.
It sounds like he's offering evidence, right, from the other side and presenting it in interesting ways.
And like you said a second ago, right? When my girlfriend had just moved in and she heard Joe.
Right.
Now, my grandfather was Joe. So now the question is, did she hear him say, like, I'm here, I'm Joe? Or was it another ghost in the mix saying, Joe, is that you? Like, you've joined us because your grandson is moving in. So, Joe, are you here now? Isn't that crazy? Joe.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's a good story.
It's a great story, and it just shows, that there's evidence, right, that we go on and they're communicating.
Yeah, I never saw myself as any kind, like you're very much a spiritual, sensual person. You're very, I know you and personally, and you're very attuned. I'm like, Joe, I'm just average. I'm like an idiot savant, or maybe just an idiot. I don't know what I am, but I don't claim to be psychic and these things that happen to me are, Jamie, they're so obvious.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I wrote this book. I wrote this book because the things that have happened to me were so apparently blatantly obvious that I'm recounting them to ask people that read the book, what do you think? But this is, I think it was my grandfather. What else could it be? My dad visited me many times as it goes. How do you explain these stories? There's no other way.
I love it. Yeah.
All right. So you've
had them since you were young. And, another thing that's wild too, you mentioned with like the flames and then falling all the way to the ground. You were
right.
here, that's for sure. So you have an important purpose.
You know what? That's actually, I never thought of that. A gargoyle saved me when I was 5. And my grandpa saved me when I was like 55.
Yeah. And I bet reflecting back, if you really thought about it, you probably have other experiences that were kind of like.
That's brilliant, Jamie. Yeah. I'm going to think about that because you're the first person that said that to me. I think, yeah. I mean, I fell from a really high sign at 5 on my back. If I wasn't severely injured, there's no way, literally no way to explain that. There just is no way. I would have had a concussion. I would have hurt my backbone, my spine. Something bad would have happened. I was perfect. I walked home singing and whistling. My mother goes, "How come you didn't tell me when you came home?" I go, "Mom, I was 5. I'm going to say, Mom, I just fell off a 30-foot billboard sign and a gargoyle saved my life. And, I thought I should share. I'm 5 years old. What am I going to go gaga, Mama? Can I have some ice cream? I'm 5 years old. I'm going to tell my mother a gargoyle saved my life, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. You want to do UFOs?
Sure.
Okay. Listen, I'm not trying to hijack your show. Please, this is your show. You and I could do this for 5 hours probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. I have experienced 3 UFO sightings in my life, and I'll do them quickly. The first one was March 1970. I was almost 14 years old. And Jamie, I know you know the story, but I'll tell it anyway. My dad picked me up from school one day. It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sunny day. He's driving me home near Asbury Park, our hometown in New Jersey. And my dad's driving me home, and we're talking about whatever. And I look through the windshield, and a huge silver V, letter V like Victor, craft. Shiny silver V, giant V, is hovering. I love this part. Is hovering above my father's car. Like, of all the places for that thing to be, it was almost like, Jack, we're here. Like, someone recently asked me, Dan, do you think the UFO was there for your father? I'm like, yeah, I think it came to say hi to my father. And there's a lot more to as you know, to that story. But it was hovering over my father's car. So I go, Dad, there's a UFO. Dad, stop the car. I'm almost 14. We stop the car. We get out, looking at the front of the car. I'm jumping up. Dad, there's a UFO. Isn't this great? Dad, you and I are seeing a UFO. Isn't this the greatest thing? Isn't it so cool, Dad? He's like whistling. He's looking at his watch. He's pulling up his socks. He's looking at his car like, I should probably get that washed this weekend. No interest in the UFO. My father, no interest in a UFO. You and I, Jamie, would be hugging, kissing, making love in the street, right? Crying, sobbing. My dad, bored. He was bored. This is like a pyramid of Egypt is over my father's car in the sky. No interest whatsoever. Okay. He goes, come on, let's go home. He was bored. Wanted nothing to do with this thing. We go home. I'm almost 14. Rotary phone, if anyone knows what a rotary phone, go in the kitchen, call the Asbury Park Press, my hometown newspaper. Hi, I'm Danny. I'm 13 and a half. I just saw a UFO with my dad. And the lady said, Sonny, I can't talk to you right now. We're getting hundreds of phone calls about this. I got to go. Remember, clear as day. That's what the lady from the Asbury Park Press told me. Hung up. No article ever ran. No article ran. I looked in the paper every day that week. Nothing ran. Okay. I forgot that story happened, Jamie, as you know, for 47 years. Completely and totally forgot that ever happened. Why? I was a drummer. I was in rock bands. I worked for concert halls. I was staring at beautiful girls that I didn't have the courage to talk to with my friends. Look at her. God, I can't talk to her. I know. Look at that. You think can't talk to her? What about her? Oh, I could never talk to her. That's me and my friends when we're 14. So the next UFO sighting was 1990. I always do this wrong. 1996. At this time, I'm married. I'm divorced. I'm living in LA. My ex-wife and children moved out to Lancaster, California, which is the high desert. It's about 2.5 hours northeast of Los Angeles. And my ex-wife was running a house out there near Edwards Air Force Base. So I used to visit my children every weekend when I was a divorced daddy when they were little. So my son Jordan turned 8 in May 1996. He turned 8. He wanted a telescope for his birthday. Got him a telescope, went out there for that weekend, spent that weekend with my children. My daughter was 6 at the time. And my son and I looking through the telescope in the backyard in Lancaster, California. Clear sky, no smog, no street lights, no reflections. Clear, crystal clear sky. You see the stars, you see the planets, you see the moon, everything perfectly. And we had a lot of fun with the telescope. And he's 8. He's in his little pajamas. It's, I'm going to put him to bed. And as we were about to pack up the telescope, I saw in the far right-hand corner of the sky a egg-shaped, whitish, yellowish thing just kind of came on and moved across the sky very, very, very quickly in a straight line across the entirety of the sky. And the sky's, I don't know how many miles, Jamie, the sky is. The sky's probably a lot of miles. Like this much sky, when you're on the earth, this much sky, it has to be miles. It's not feet. It's got to be miles. So it's going all across a very straight line. And I said, Jordan, look, a satellite. A satellite. Isn't that cool? Right? And he's like, yeah, well, it's so cool. It's a satellite. That was great, right? So then the thing goes, and then it stops. Where's my hand? It stops in place. This bright light stops in place for about like 30 seconds. Didn't move at all. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this satellite is going to plummet to the earth. There's something terribly wrong with that satellite. It's going to hit the earth and crash. So after 30 seconds, it decides like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go home now and get a hot dog. It reverses course from the same way it came, same line, all the way across the sky, goes to the end point, and then like just the light turns off and it, well, that's not a satellite, my friends. That's not an airplane, a helicopter, a missile, a satellite, a comet, an asteroid. It could only be a drone or an ET craft, or what Jimmy Church told me. He goes, Dan, that was a man-made military UFO, because I was near Edwards Air Force Base. And I said, I think that's correct. I believe that UFO was a man-made craft. Because like when it stopped, it was like, hey, Bill, like we need a little more tweak on that knob, and like let's put a little yawl over on that slider over there, and like, yeah, let's go. But I'm hungry. Yeah, you hungry? Yeah, let's go get some Subway. And then they turned and they went back. It was like those 30 seconds they were adjusting something up there. Sure. Why would a craft stop, and then go back?
Right. So, make a little tweak.
I think so. I don't know what the hell they were doing up there. Oh. So that was the second one. The third one was. And then there are other stories, but we're going to run out of time. The third one was 2008. I went to the ESETI Ranch in Washington State. It's a famous UFO hotspot. It's owned by a gentleman named James Gilliland. I had a girlfriend named Barbara, and she and I spent a 3-day weekend, the 4th of July, 2008, on his property. It was an open house on his property. During the day, he had a big white tent. And during the day, they had like Nick Pope and William Henry and I think David Childress and some famous speakers talking about crop circles and the Nazca lines and the pyramids and orbs and all the cool stuff during the day. And at night, about 250 people were there. They made a bonfire, and they were singing and dancing and playing guitars and tambourines, dancing around the fire at night on this huge field, 150-acre field of nothing. And in the horizon is Mount Adams. Now, Mount Adams is a cousin to Mount Rainier, and Mount Rainier is where Kenneth Arnold saw 9 UFOs in June 1947, and that's where the term flying saucer came from. So my mountain, Mount Adams, was a cousin. It's a cousin to Mount Rainier. It's the same range. And when I was there, they said, the Indians used to call that mountain the Mountain of Shining Lights. Mountain of Shining Lights. Very interesting. So we went the first day, Friday, seminar, lectures, films, bonfire, look up in the sky, hours and hours, look up at the sky. Absolutely nothing happened. Second day, Saturday, lectures, films, seminars, bonfire, looking up at the sky, hours and hours and hours, absolutely nothing. And when you look up for a long time, your neck hurts. Let's face it. After a while, your neck starts like cramping, The third day was the Sunday, the last day, lectures, films, seminars, bonfire, looking up in the sky, maybe 2 hours. Nothing's happening. I reach in my hip pocket, Jamie. I pull out my car keys. I go to my girlfriend. I go, Barbara, if we leave right now, we can beat the rush because all these cars are here. It's going to take us forever to get home. So I pull out my car keys. They're in my hand, Jamie. A black craft from nowhere, from behind us, comes slowly over us. I don't know the shape or how big. It was just jet black against the black sky. And it hovered above 250 people. I'm going to say it was 300 feet in the air, very low. And we're looking up, and I'm like, what the hell is that thing? What the hell is that? And then the center, underneath this craft in the center, I'm going to call it a crystal glass bulb. This crystal glass bulb lit up, beautiful, dark emerald green color, bright emerald green, like Wizard of Oz emerald green. Very, very bright, turned on in the bulb itself. Then the light dispersed over the crowd like this.
Wow.
Silent, okay? No sounds were happening. It was like Morse code of light, of green light. And in the X-Files, when they're looking up and like everyone's amazed, with the saucer with the beam. Well,
did you feel anything from those beams?
Yes. I'll get to that in 1 second. When it was happening to me, my beam happened to be emerald green. It wasn't white. It was happened to be beautiful, the most beautiful emerald green you ever saw. Okay, so this is happening now, Jamie. I'm like crying. I'm like, there's tears, and I'm like looking up, and there's tears, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. That's number one. Then, after it turned on, and quite a few times, I don't know. Then the light stopped. The light fizzled out. The craft slowly moved away. And then bang, zoom over Mount Adams, vanished. Okay. So people, we're clapping, we're hugging, we're dancing, we're singing. Barbara and I were crying and hugging and crying. Like, what a profound moment. Now, here's what I got. And I still feel it in my heart to this day. I got, hello, we're here. We're sorry. We know you've been waiting for the whole weekend. We got stuck at Walmart down the street. We're sorry we're late, but we're in the neighborhood. We wanted to say hello. Everything's cool. Don't be afraid. We love you. Be kind to one another. Love your neighbor. Be kind to planet Earth. Don't fear us. We're here to help you. And we'll see you another time. And we got to go now. And take care. Honest to God, that's what I felt when it left. I still feel it. Where's my heart? I still feel it. I still feel it. Honest to God, I feel it in my heart. People said to me, Dan, was it like telepathy? It wasn't like thoughts of, like sentences of thoughts. It was all love, like emotional feelings in my heart. And I still feel it. That was 2008. And since then, Jamie, I have become a softer, kinder, gentler person. I used to be more of a prick. I was definitely more of a prick before that event. I know I was. I was like, oh, that asshole. I would be very critical. I'm like, he means well. I've become such a nice person because of that event. So those are my 3 UFOs.
Wow. So they did beam you straight into the heart, it feels like. And
not just me. It would have been cool, Jimmy, if it had just been like the solo life. and they're like, what's going on with Dan? Like Barbara, Dan, what's happening? But no, it was had to be 200, 250 people. It was all of us.
That's amazing.
I would imagine all of those people to this day have a takeaway.
I'm sure. And it was very clear, it feels like, between that experience and the other ones, which may have been military or man-made.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Okay. And then the tag of the story is After my father died, I went to a deli to get a pastrami sandwich to mourn my father. I'm sitting there. A beam of energy from above banged into my head and through my eyes and my brain. A projection in the air at the deli was the 1970 UFO sighting I had with my father. It played like honest to God, like a home movie. It was like God had been the cameraman, because it wasn't from my point of view. Whoever shot this movie, Jamie, it was like the cameraman was 10 feet away from my father's car. So I saw the car, me and my dad. I saw me jumping up and down. I saw the craft. And it wasn't from my point of view. It wasn't a memory that I had from my brain. It had been recorded by God himself. Okay. Anyway, so I had that event. I researched my dad. I found out my dad helped to invent military drones for the Army, 45 years. After he died, I called my mother. I said, did he ever mention UFOs? She said, in the early 50s, they showed your father something top secret in the vaults, deep in the vaults at Fort Monmouth Army Base. He came home shaking and crying. My mother goes, honey, what's wrong? My father said, I saw something today, top secret. I could never tell you as long as I live. My father never told me or my mother or my brothers. He never did. I think in retrospect that because my dad was a genius physicist, engineer, I know he worked on drones, radar, and missiles. I have proof of that. I believe he was involved with the reverse engineering of ET craft that had been recovered for the U.S. military. And I think that Silver V was a man-made military drone, I'm convinced in my heart, using extraterrestrial technology. And my dad knew. And he couldn't tell me. He couldn't tell me while he was alive. But 3 days after he's dead, and I'm going for a pastrami sandwich, and my dad gives me a home movie from heaven, like, hey, kid, I couldn't tell you when I was alive. Top secret. I'm dead now. I might as well share this with you. So that's another thing my dad did from heaven.
It's amazing. And I know there's a special story around that, how you came up with after they came and the title, and we don't have time to go into all of those.
Right.
details.
Well, you have me back for part 2. And
yes, we'll have you back for part 2. And even with your paranormal life, you still have past life connection experiences, being transported in time, a doppelganger experience, all of these amazing things. Yeah.
When I was in college, my senior year in college in Boston, I would walk up and down the streets at Boston University, and beautiful girls would come up to me like, Jeffrey, is that you? And I'm like, no. and they go, Jamie, they go, are you sure? Are you sure? Am I sure I'm not Jeffrey? I'm pretty sure I'm not Jeffrey because my name is Dan. I'm pretty sure I'm not. And this happened over and over for a calendar year. And I'm thinking, who is this Jeffrey? He's doing really well with the ladies, but I had a doppelganger named Jeffrey, apparently.
Wild. Dan, I cannot wait. I definitely want to have you back because we can go on for sure.
Anytime.
Yeah. So any last remarks you want to share? I know you wanted to mention contact in the desert, which is the biggest thing short of a landing.
right. Short of the landing on the White House lawn. I am the publicist of Contact in the Desert. Please go to contactinthedesert.com. Buy your tickets. They're going fast. May 30th through June 3rd. Indian Wells, California, near Palm Springs. 73 major UFO researchers are the guest speakers. I will be there. I'm the head of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Jamie was one of my founding members, as you know. We are going to have a Hollywood Disclosure Alliance panel with Dee Wallace and Thomas Jane and Dave Foley and Stephen Bassett and other people. We will have an HDA booth where a lot of famous people, including George Noory and Nick Pope, will be signing autographs. And I'll be running like a chicken without a head at Contact in the Desert. So check out contactinthedesert.com. Check out HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. We are seeking donations. There's a donation button there. Personally, Dan Harary, author.com. All my books, Dan Harary, author.com. You can reach me there. And Jamie, I love and adore you. I always have, and I always will. And you're my special little friend.
Aw, I love you so much, Dan. Thank you so much for being our guest tonight.
Absolutely. I should have you on my show in the fall. Okay, I will do that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we might as well be incestuous. We're both on the same we're both on the same network. We might as well, right? We'll just keep telling Race, hey, Race, you're doing Dan again, or Dan, you're doing Jamie again. Yeah, she's like one of my best friends. What's wrong with that? Tomorrow night I have Paul Hynek on, but a little plug for me. But anyway,
Oh.
Jamie, I love you. I wish you all the
Thank
best
you.
with this show. You're a wonderful person, and you are a friend for life. And we'll just cross-pollinate for the rest of time.
Hey, it works. All right. Thank you so much, Dan.
My pleasure. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.